All right, so we're gonna see if this works or not. Anyways, hi everybody. I'm Ben Jessup from Ingenics. I'm the marketing strategist. I'm sitting in for Derek, or standing in for him, I guess. Really excited to go ahead and introduce Schram from IZEA, who's going to be talking to us about sponsored social. So thanks everyone for coming, even in this cold weather today, and getting on down here. So with that, I'll hand it off to Ryan. So thanks.
Hey, awesome. Thanks, Emily. All right. Sure. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
First of all, can you hear me okay? Because I'm not sure if the mics are working today, right? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Well, I'm really happy to be here today at LA2M. We are going to talk about the world of sponsored social. Does anyone know what sponsored social is to start with? Anyone cheat before the session? One or two people. Okay, well, we'll dive into a definition of really what the practice is. But I prepared my talk today in really three parts. The first part is to give you some context and some history on this space. The second is to give you a body of knowledge on recent research that my company IZEA has done. And my goal with that is, I know that we have a lot of marketers in the room and professionals who work for both big businesses and small businesses. My hope is that you come away from today's lunch with some ideas that you can take into your planning for fiscal year 15, and some actual actionable ideas to leave the room with as well. So, just to give you some background on IZEA and who we are, while I live here in the great state of Michigan, my company is headquartered in Winter Park, Florida, which is just north of Orlando by about 10 or 15 miles. And we have been based in Florida because our founder and CEO was born and raised in Marco Island. And similar to the Metro Detroit area, which is going through its own tech renaissance, Central Florida is as well. A lot of the Space Coast employees of yesteryear have repurposed themselves as internet executives and simulation programmers, all sorts of really interesting things. But we developed and coined the phrase sponsored social back in 2006. And the idea here is really simple. IZEA is a technology company that runs a marketplace. On one side, we have our creators. These are social media influencers, folks who are bloggers, tweeters, pinners, YouTubers. Who out here is on Pinterest? Who likes Pinterest? Looking for good holiday ideas? Excellent. Who here likes to consume a good YouTube video or a meme on Instagram? I do. That's great. So all of those people are prospective social influencers who are in our marketplace. On the other side, we have advertisers. Those advertisers are looking to hire those social influencers to create and distribute content on their behalf. And these are brands that range from the Walt Disney Company to American Express to Procter & Gamble. And how we make money basically at IZEA is by taking a cut of that transaction, kind of like on eBay. When a buyer and a seller match, they take a percentage. That's how we work at IZEA. Make sense? So here's the thing. It wasn't always so easy for us. Back in 2006, the company actually used to be called Pay Per Post. And if you think about 2006, back in the day, that was really more of the era of MySpace, and where blogs were really more live journals. It's where you kept your deepest, darkest feelings and shared your secrets with the world. And this idea of aligning advertising to those things, let's just say it didn't go so well. And the concept of sponsored social was pretty much critiqued by everyone and their mother back in the heyday. Jason Calacanis basically said that this company was going to be able to pay people to be shills. Pete Cashmore, now of Mashable, a fine Michigan native, said no serious content creators will ever take them up on their offer, and I'm really concerned about the ethics here. But then things started to change. In 2009, Forrester, the research company, acknowledged this is a whole new industry, and it might change the way that advertisers connect with these influencers. Then in 2010, Chris Batty from Gawker, anyone read Gawker in the room? I love Gawker. He said in a couple of years, a majority of their revenue will likely come from these strange new things called sponsored posts. In 2011, Forbes of all people, started putting sponsored posts into all their web properties and all of their social properties. The real moment, though, was in 2013. I rolled over at CES in Las Vegas, and I saw the very first sponsored tweet from the Associated Press. These are the very people that threw my boss out of their office 2 years before because they said, never in a million years will big J journalists ever consider compromising their integrity to have social posts and sponsored posts go live. But now you flash forward to 2014, and pretty much every publisher known to mankind is doing some form of sponsored post, right? You see it every single day in the world around you. These are just tweets, right? So it doesn't matter if it's the biggest of the bigs, from CBS to AOL, even the folks at venerable Time Inc. There was a stat that just came out a few days ago from the EVP of advertising at Time Inc., Meredith Levian, saying the biggest revenue driver in the launch of is the positive growth of their paid post business. Think about it. These are people who made billions of dollars over the course of time selling ink on paper, and now their business has been transformed.
So what are they? They're asking people to post for them?
Yeah, so the concept at Time Inc. would be actually real journalists or people who are staff writers creating a sponsored post for Nissan about a new vehicle, for example, in that case. Or it might be individual bloggers. If you follow a foodie blogger, for example, they might create a new recipe for an olive oil company and post that to their followers. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
You're welcome. So now, in 2014, Forbes is saying that 20% of their ad revenue is coming from an area that was once considered taboo. Who here ever reads BuzzFeed? Any BuzzFeeders? Check this stat out.
100% of our revenue comes from branded content. So we have a lot of partners who are marketers and major brands who are with 76 of the top 100 brands now.
So 100% of BuzzFeed's revenue comes from what they call listicles. You know what a listicle is? It's a list of sponsored posts and sponsored concepts that are created by the content team at BuzzFeed to look and feel like ordinary content when in fact they're sponsored. But why is this happening, right? We've gone from this world where always word of mouth has been the most powerful marketing vehicle, right? Having a friend or someone that you trust recommend something to you, that carries more weight than any billboard, any yellow page ad, any banner ad, right? But now we have a whole different world where it's not just about that influence. Social has amplified that and reinvented it, because now individuals and publishers alike, these giant media titans, are all able to leverage these same psychologies. So why is this happening in a macro context, particularly as it relates to digital marketing? Well, it's largely because when was the last time you ever clicked on, intentionally, a banner ad? My good friend John Oliver has a little bit of commentary on that for you.
Traditional banner ads are so ineffective that one study found we only intentionally click on them less than 0.2% of the time, which actually sounds about right. Because did you know that if you ever actually click on a banner ad, you literally get taken to a page that reads, "Hey, is everything okay?" But presuming you passed out and hit your head on the keyboard, I'm calling an ambulance right now.
All right, so think about that stat for a second. Banner ads don't work. There's a lot of other math behind it. Did you know, statistically speaking, you have a better chance of winning the lottery twice in your life than intentionally clicking on a banner ad this year? Really? All right, that is a real stat. You have a better chance of getting on an airplane and being upgraded to first class on every flight you go on for the rest of your life than intentionally clicking on a banner ad this year. Yet, brands, big and small alike, are spending billions of dollars still on this, throwing their money away. So ultimately, what we've seen in sponsored social marketing, why do marketers want to do this? Because they get what they want. And because it interacts with 4 giant areas that brands invest on a global basis. online advertising, sponsorships, public relations, and content marketing. And look at this, content marketing, a $44 billion a year category this year in 2014 was a category that literally did not exist 5 years ago. How many $44 billion businesses do you know that haven't even really gone into second grade? It's pretty amazing. So when we take a step back and look at why marketers are doing this, it's things that are not necessarily rocket science. It is unique branded content in the voice of a trusted influencer. It's the ability to take what is the voice of the people, instead of thinking about the world in a broadcast mentality, which is sort of one to all, it's the other way down. It's the bottom up, right? It's the people being able to talk to one another as opposed to one singular voice talking to everybody. It's also the opportunity to really have individuals, sometimes even customers, who care about that brand being your media vehicle. So think about that. If you're a loyal driver, I have a Dodge Durango. I love my 2014 Dodge Durango, by the way. I would be proud to represent Dodge and do a sponsored photo on Instagram about my Durango, or to testify on a tweet that it is Car and Driver's #1 SUV of this year. And I would do that even more if they were willing to pay me to do that, to share with my followers. And that's the beauty of something like sponsored social for a marketer, because now you have people who genuinely want to endorse that brand, who are open to sharing their feelings about that particular product or service, and then ultimately want to be able to work with that brand on an ongoing basis. Make sense? So on the creator side of this equation, what are they getting out of all of this, right? Yes, they're getting paid, but what are the byproducts that marketers really see that may not be completely obvious at first? One of the things that we find particularly intriguing is that 88% of them verbally tell friends offline, not just in that post that they wrote and distributed, but actually going to a family member or a friend and saying, I love my Dodge Durango. And I love Dodge even more because, you know what, they paid to sponsor my content and help me fuel my passion for maybe automotive blogging. The other thing that's also compelling for brands is that over 3/4 of the creators that we surveyed this year are more likely to buy from that brand than they were prior to being sponsored. Again, not rocket science, but they did a unit economics for a company like Kraft or Procter & Gamble, who are waging wars every single day for market share. That 3/4 of a person, that extra vote, can make a real difference to the bottom line. And then for the creators themselves, they get what they want in these relationships as well. Think about it if you were a blogger. You used to monetize your livelihood through those banner ads that now no one clicks on. Meaning your income has decreased 99% in the last couple of years because of that stat that John shared with us, right? So for them, they're now able to monetize the content that they're passionate about creating and sharing in a whole new and unique way. It also gives them the ability to choose. Remember how I said that IZEA builds marketplaces? Marketplaces are really important in the world of sponsored social, or in any sort of mechanism where you want an authentic recommendation. Because I want the choice to only work for the brands that I genuinely believe in, whether they pay me or not. Otherwise, you are just that paid shill, right? And frankly, if you don't have a marketplace, you're just an overinflated talent agency that's shoving sponsorships down the throat like you would slapping a sticker on a NASCAR. So in other words, we see it as the perfect partnership. So let's talk about some research. This year, for the first time ever, we partnered with Halverson Group, you might be familiar with. Halverson's one of the leading market research firms in the world, to create a body of knowledge we call the State of Sponsored Social. This study is available for free for your use. If you can put it to use for your 2015 planning, we love that. It's at corp.izea.com, corp.izea.com. And I'll also provide this deck at the conclusion of today's talk. But Some of the things that were very interesting about this year's findings, we looked at audiences that included brands, the agencies that support them, and the creators themselves. And we did that both on a quantitative basis as well as a qualitative basis. The qualitative was particularly interesting. And here's a brand marketer, for example, saying that sponsored social is a great opportunity. We're just starting to fully understand and position ourselves to leverage most effectively. And then another brand marketer said, and this is a light phrase, so I apologize to the people in the back, word of mouth is great, but you only speak to a few people at a time. If you're interacting, live tweeting, or showing people on social media what you like or love about a product, you are showing thousands of people at once, and it'll make them want it. Very simple psychology here. So like I said, we wanted to make sure we understood the sentiment from both the voice of the marketer and the voice of the creator this year. And the path that we were able to do this with from a methodology perspective, from an independent standpoint, helped us look at this, wow, my clicker's going crazy, from both the marketer lens and the creator lens. So, how about this? Over 50% of marketers this year said that they've had experience with sponsored social in this last year. In other words, for as much as this landscape has changed, right? All of those giant publishers that I shared earlier on in the talk, this is still in its infancy overall. And that's what we see as the opportunity at a company like IZEA, or for the category as a whole. What we also find interesting is when we ask marketers what kinds of tactics, where they've invested their money in this last year, sponsored social started to rank amongst the very highest areas compared to other more traditional things like experiential marketing or those wasted dollars on online display, like I like to play the phone on. Yes?
Are these stats all referencing like B2C companies?
These are actually B2C and B2B marketers blended together.
Okay.
Great question. What was particularly profound this year is that over half of the companies we studied, which was over 300 in total, both B2B and B2C, have a standalone sponsored social budget. And what's particularly compelling is a quarter of those are spending more than $500,000 a year on this. 5% are spending more than $5 million on this. Again, for a category that's less than 8 years old and used to be able to do several $1,000s a month, millions of dollars are particularly interesting. And then on the topic of compensation, cash compensation is the preferred means of rewarding someone for participation in one of these campaigns. But you'll oftentimes see other sorts of tactics used in combination with cash. Very frequently, especially if you're a consumer packaged good product or up-and-coming service, providing that product or service for free to the influencer in addition to what you pay them is a very frequent approach. But this, to me, really signaled the change in landscape. We asked Halverson to measure the momentum. In other words, where people are spending their money from a velocity perspective, with sponsored social against all these other traditional tactics. And what you're seeing here is that the net momentum for the space has wildly changed. And the acceleration is something that we expect to see more and more frequently as those dollars shift and as results become far more varied and far more valuable to these brands. So in other words, if you're in the newspaper or magazine business, it's not a great year to be at the office. What's also interesting is the effectiveness scores. Sponsored social ranked almost even with experiential marketing and celebrity endorsements, and actually beat television advertising by almost 3/4 of a point. And the reason that we think that is that take something like a blog post. When you normally buy advertising, whether it's a magazine ad or search terms on Google or display advertising, when you stop paying for them, they turn off. No television station runs free commercials. I wouldn't expect them to. However, the nature of social marketing is that it is evergreen. It lives on forever. It gets indexed by those search engines. It gets picked up. All of the photos and the videos that are embedded in that post also become value to the brand. I often, yes?
I hope I'm not jumping in too early.
It's okay.
Online display advertising is better than radio advertising, and yet online display advertising is useless?
Yes. So again, this is the results from people who probably are buying that advertising. So accusing themselves of failing, probably not high on their list, right?
Oh, okay.
So in other words, I see it as a self-fulfilling prophecy that's all in the eye of the beholder, I suppose, right? Personally, I'm a huge fan of radio, so I disagree with this stat. But what I was going to say is that in terms of the longevity, we did a campaign a few years ago for Chili's Corona Rita. Has anyone had a Corona Rita before? You know what that is? It's a frozen margarita. It's a marketing genius thing. And a small bottle of Corona beer that is poured at a very specific angle into said frozen margarita. All right? It's a great after-work drink. The Corona Rita campaign was promoted by foodie bloggers and YouTubers to talk about how you can mix it with different food options at your local Chili's. I love queso and salsa from Chili's, one of my favorite junk food things to have. You mix it with a Corona Rita, you snap a picture on Instagram, you put that into a blog post. That's what Chili's was trying to accomplish. If anyone's on their computer, Google Chili's Corona Rita right now. The results of those sponsored posts from 3 years ago are the first 10 pages of organic results today. So they stopped paying for that 3 fiscal quarters ago and are still receiving benefit from that. I think that's why people are doing this stuff and why they rank it so effective. People often ask me, well, how much are people earning on average for this stuff, right? Kim Kardashian, everyone knows Kim Kardashian, right? She actually did the first ever celebrity tweet through our company in 2008. It was for Armani jeans. At that time, we paid Kim the unheard of sum of $15,000 to post a picture of her in Armani jeans to her tens of millions of Twitter followers. Jeez. Today, celebrities can earn, and I'm not kidding, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars for a single Vine or a single tweet to their followers. All right? But the industry isn't just based on celebrities. It's also built on everyday people like you and me, right? And the folks all in between who've made careers out of leveraging their social influence. So these results are on average when you blend all those people together. But still, this is some pretty compelling stuff. If you're a blogger, let's say you're a passionate video game blogger who talks about the latest titles for Xbox. If I told you that I could give you an opportunity to work with one of the up-and-coming titles for this holiday season and pay you almost $400 to write a blog post about it with your honest feelings of what you thought about the game and your experiences, I bet you'd do that, right? Because you're already creating those posts anyways. So let's say you do 3 or 4 of those a month, you're now earning an extra $1,200, $1,800 a month that you didn't have before. That's why this has really become the category for creators that they've gravitated to so strongly, because they can have that choice and that option to fuel their income as well. The next thing is talking about that choice. When brands are choosing these social creators to work with, bloggers, YouTubers will often ask me, what's the most important things that I need to be able to think about when I'm creating my content so these brands will want to hire me? Quality is still job number 1, to borrow a phrase from our friends at Ford. Brands want to have authentic, compelling, creative voices that have a great audience who loves to interact with them. That's the bottom line. All of that stuff yields the other parts, the traffic and the metrics that brands are then forced to measure from a KPI's perspective. Pretty straightforward. So speaking about celebrities, About 1 in 4 of the marketers that we measured this year has hired a celebrity endorsement last year. What's particularly interesting is that in 2/3 of those cases, sponsored social, meaning the activation of that endorsement via Instagram or Twitter or Pinterest, was part of that approach. Whereas just maybe 5 or 10 years ago, it was more important for that person to show up perhaps on your TV ad or on your outdoor billboard. Now marketers have recognized that those touch points have changed. Because for the first time ever, we've been able now as consumers to interact with those people, perhaps, to retweet what is legitimately an ad, right? I'll sit back at our headquarters and I'll look at some of our celebrity campaigns. We did one last year for Allstate with the cast of The Voice. And an ad, literally someone saying, hey, check out this new spot that aired during the finale of The Voice for Allstate on YouTube, was retweeted thousands of times, favorited tens of thousands of times. When was the last time you said, gosh, I really love this ad so much, I'm gonna record it on my DVR? No, you use your DVR to skip those ads. Profound societal change. So let's flip to the other side of the equation. By the way, is this data helpful? Is this useful? Good, okay, cool. On the creator side of the equation, people often will ask me, well, what are these people talking about? What are the focal subjects of their passion that they're writing about or creating content around? Number one, believe it or not, is food. The foodie revolution is unbelievable. Who has a friend that is annoyingly talented and posts pictures of their dinner on Instagram always or on Facebook? So envious of those people. I know how to make one thing, and it's reservations. It's very sad. Lifestyle issues, parenting issues, beauty, YouTube. How many women in the room have seen makeup tips or hairstyle tips on YouTube recently? It's amazing. And we'll often be able to provide those same people with opportunities to work with hair care brands that they can feature in that content, right? Because many times those individuals are looking to try new products anyways, so why not be able to be sponsored by those very same brands? By the way, if you happen to have a friend who's big on pop culture or video gaming, come see me, because those people can make a mint right now. There's not many of them, and brands are craving them, especially around awards season coming up, like the Oscars. Someone who has a huge pop culture following, think of all the brands that activate around a big award show at the Oscars. It's a real big opportunity. So when we talk about the channels which these creators are playing in, some of them probably aren't surprising to you. Twitter, Facebook, blogs. What fascinated me is that I read time and time again about how people are bashing Google+, yet statistically, more and more creators are creating content on Google+ than ever before. My speculation is that because Google has woven services like Picasa in the photo space or YouTube, people are actually confusing some of those things as being that service when in fact they are agnostic services themselves. Some of the other ones that are more supporting roles are the platforms that have really declined in the last couple of years. Tumblr's had a very hard time on the other side of its acquisition by Yahoo. I think we all know the challenges of platforms like Foursquare for checking in, since Facebook has capitalized on that space and Twitter has capitalized on that space. So we talked a lot about these stats already, but one of the other things I wanted to point out was in terms of the likelihood of carrying on conversations, we see this for a couple of reasons, but this is the biggest one. Where the money comes from. The expression governments follow the money trail, right? This applies true for advertising as well. The vast majority, 63% of the money that social creators are earning nowadays is coming from these sponsored posts, from sponsored social. Display ads, for a point of context, just a few years ago, used to be over 95%. So yes?
Ryan, tell us who the creators are.
The creators range from bloggers to tweeters to YouTubers to Instagrammers. And they often, the category overall runs female. It's about 70% female overall, 30% male. But that also is changing. millennial men in particular are far more active than the predecessors 10 years before them, which makes sense, I think, anecdotally. Does that help? What's also interesting to watch is the frequency of these projects, right? So how frequently are these creators actually working on sponsored posts? Basically, the interval, 81% of them are doing it at least once per month. And some of them are doing it more than once per week, all right? And this really depends on what channel someone has their following in. In a high frequency, high decay medium, like an Instagram or a Twitter, where your content gets pushed down the stream very quickly, it wouldn't be uncommon to have a higher frequency of those sponsorships because you need to stay top of mind, right? On something like a blog, where you may only publish one post per day or 2 to 3 times a week, you need to be channel specific in terms of how those are activated. So we talked a lot about where the money is coming from, but this is to give you a better sense of the last year. 43% is the net momentum gain of sponsored social compared to display ads just in the last year. Now, this is overall all the creators who were studied inside of this year's State of Sponsored Social research. But here's an interesting fact. So remember I was asking you, or I was explaining when brands ask what's most important? This is what's most important to the creators in considering working with a brand and protecting their own personal brand in the context of a presentation. So things that they find that their audience would think were compelling. The fit overall. The compensation is third important. Most people think it would be most important. It's not. And then the opportunity to do things like screen opportunities as opposed to be force-fed them, or the fact that if the post needs to be live at a certain point, it aligns with their overall schedule and availability. All of these things that I've described today are governed by the FTC. And many creators and brands have a varying level of knowledge about that. Because it's one thing to receive a sponsorship, but when you receive any form of compensation, whether it's a free product or it's cash or anything in between, it must be disclosed. So, what does that look like? The familiarity for the creator side is actually very good. In fact, 2 out of 3 creators claim that they understand how to disclose that they've been endorsed and the forms in which to do it based on the different channels. So remember how I was showing the Twitter examples early on and it said hashtag sponsored or hashtag ad? The requirement's actually very simple from the FTC on a channel like Twitter. You can say whatever you want, but before there's ever a link or a place to go, the hashtag with the disclosure has to appear. Very straightforward. And there's a number of different options you can use, like brought to you by, sponsored by, ad, etc. Now, the problem is that while the creators typically include disclosure, in fact, almost 95% of them do, and they'll do that by way of actually putting it in the post itself or having a posted disclosure policy on something like a blog or a YouTube channel, or both. The problem is that the advertisers do not have knowledge of this. So those of you that work with a brand, be aware that the FTC, you do a simple search, has made it their business to make an example, especially out of larger companies or those that are in regulated industries, where it's very, very blatantly aware that sponsorship has taken place and someone's been compensated, yet it is not disclosed.
Isn't that the fault of a creator?
It's actually considered the fault of the brand for not enforcing the creator to do it. Many times what we see anecdotally is that the creators will go to a brand and say, I need to disclose this, and the brand will say, oh, no, you don't worry about it. No one's going to enforce that. And then the brand gets busted. That's oftentimes what will happen.
What's the frequency of that happening?
More and more each quarter. More and more each quarter. In fact, I was in DC a year ago this week, to testify on the Native Ag Committee of the FTC. We've been working with them on this issue since 2008. And as the dollars have shifted there, more and more scrutiny has as well. The federal government loves to follow the money, more than anybody else. So to put a bow on today's talk, there's a couple of takeaways I thought you might find helpful. And I've summarized them here in terms of the growth and the experience that marketers are having with sponsored social, its effectiveness overall, and the sophistication of these campaigns. It's a long ways away from when this company started, when we were doing posts on MySpace and trying to make things happen on very simple web blogs. Compensation is becoming expected by these creators. You've seen that in the numbers here today and the ways that people are being compensated. We find it amazing that 81% of these creators are doing a post at least once per month. And that ultimately, this has become the primary source of income to fuel the next generation of artists and photographers and videographers. And then ultimately, creators are dedicated to having these transparent and collaborative and ethical relationships with brands. And in a way, that's really empowering because we've gone from a world where you're buying nameless, faceless spots and dots perhaps in a magazine or a TV station to that money actually going to real people, real human beings who want to work with those brands and help distribute a message. So that's the research for today and the end of my talk. Like I said, it's available for free for you, corp.IZEA.com.
Can you join me in thanking Ryan? All right, we have time for a couple questions. Does anyone have a question that they'd like to ask Ryan?
Hi, Brian. How long before you think there are so many content creators that it really becomes oversaturated and drives down the ability to really make decent money in there? As well as how long before consumers are really kind of getting onto like I'm not going to run out and buy something because Kim Kardashian posted it because I know she's sponsored and
Sure.
And consumers are smart. So how long do you think before those two things impact this industry?
Well, I think that what we're seeing is that question of frequency that I showed earlier. And what I really like to see is that there's a balance between the frequency of organic content and the frequency of sponsored content. What we find is that on something like a blog, 1 to 2 times per month for someone who posts 3 to 4 times per week is about the right penetration level overall. If that individual has driven enough traffic and engagement on organic content, what they then can do is command a higher cost per post as opposed to increasing their frequency levels. The other thing I would say is that it's not easy to generate that kind of following. People who are genuinely passionate about your content. And ultimately, those people are sophisticated business people at the end of the day who have learned from the past and are not willing to sell themselves down the river just to make another buck. So we're actually seeing a lot of better controls in place to avoid that saturation for people realizing that they get to choose which brands they're working for and at what price. So I'm hopeful that what happens is that as more mediums emerge and as people become more picky, what we're going to try to be able to do is provide the widest array of choices for the widest array of content creators, because there's billions of them out there.
We have another question over here.
Sure.
Do followers go down as sponsored tweets go up? In other words, do they lose their followers?
They do if there's a mismatch. And what we saw early on in this business is that when there were the concept of basically no choice, you're forced to create a post for Diet Pepsi, and I may not care for Diet Pepsi, right? But I want to make some money. What social has also done, which prevents the saturation issue, is I will watch what we call flameouts from other companies who have done a sponsored campaign and forced the creator to take it, because their followers probably are savvy enough to know that person loves Diet Coke. They talk about it in their content. So they'll suddenly, in the comments or the at replies, call out that person saying, you're a shill, you have a double standard, right? And then their traffic goes down. So the question to the creator then becomes, is a post that's a mismatch worth losing your followers? Yes? Oh, sorry, I'm cheating.
Ryan, question for you. Are you a buyer or a seller?
For myself, personally?
No, in this idea here.
We are actually in the middle. We are neither. So we simply are the technology company that builds the rails, if you will, that unites those two parties.
So which part of it is harder for you to get, the advertisers or the creators?
Well, actually, both ships have to rise in the same tide, if you think about it, because you can't make available creators if there's not advertisers to hire them.
So you're a magician then?
Basically. That's what my wife says.
If a poster has, if you will, a social faux pas, be it they beat their kids or knock their wife out, do the followers drop off? How do the advertisers react to when someone screws up? And that's the problem. We're all going to do something stupid. It's just a question of time and how many people see it.
Well, we actually, so sadly, the state of our society is that when someone does something horrible, they actually gain more social followers temporarily. Now, that's kryptonite for advertisers, so the concepts are disconnected. So someone's social following may increase, but we had a sad state with CeeLo Green, some of the accusations about him recently, and he was very active with brands. And so what we do as a company is try to take the moral high ground and put that person into what we kind of call purgatory. They're not out of the system, but they're not in the system and made available to advertisers if we think that there's a larger issue at play there.
All right, if you could help me thank Ryan again for the information. I'm sure Ryan will stay a few minutes afterwards, so if you didn't get your question, if you'd like to come up and see him afterwards, we can do that. At this point of the presentation, we're going to have an opportunity to pass the microphone around and introduce ourselves. I'll ask you, we'll start up here in the front, and if you could stand up, say your name, your company, and if you have a quick ask, if you keep it brief, we'll get all the way around the room, and then we have a few announcements at the end. So we'll start right up here in the front and get all the way around the room.
Well, actually, I'm not with the company. I'm the proud mother of Brian Schram. Thank you.
I'm Jim Gilligan with Acro Yoga Ann Arbor.
I'm Dave Coleman. I'm with Brandon. We help brands and retailers monitor online pricing.
I'm Bob Shannon. I'm a CPA with a local practice here in the Ann Arbor area, and I specialize in helping small growing companies, high-tech companies with their accounting, financial planning, and their tax issues. I certainly appreciate any inquiries and clients.
My name is Conroy. I'm a freelance digital marketing consultant. I do a lot of social media work, and I'm also a writer. So if you're looking to do something in this space, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ann Hansen. I'm with brands. I own a firm. I specialize in innovation marketing and products. And I'm also a content creator in pets.
Oh, come talk to me. Seriously.
I will.
Hello, I'm Dr. Thomas Blackwell. I'm with Intel. We help people diversify their income. Also, through the holiday season, we're offering a special. If you're having a challenge buying a gift for that special someone, come see me.
I'm Schram, founder of Canvas Watch Company, and I'm here to just get ideas on how to reach more customers.
Hi, I'm Lev Wood. I work for MS2, Midwestern Software Solutions. We have a database application that manages transportation data.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Bucci. I work here in Ann Arbor, and I help biotech companies gain traction with their media strategies.
Hi, I'm Ben Jessup. I'm the marketing strategist at Ingenix Digital Marketing. And we focus on obviously digital marketing and lead generation and leveraging marketing automation systems.
Hi, I'm Emily Boney, and I am an intern at Ingenix. I'm Sandy Aldrich, and I am starting up a company, part of Spark. So I'm here to learn about sponsored social because as a startup we have very little marketing budget. And yeah, so this is great. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jordan, and I help out with the marketing at Dexter Builders.
My name is Jordan as well. I'm a student at business student at Eastern Michigan University, also intern at Ingenix Digital Marketing.
My name is Lanta Fagundes. I'm a digital marketing manager at Wit Media based in New York City.
My name is Jeremy Lewis. I'm with Ann Arbor Amateur Hockey Association, just kind of learning about social media and marketing.
Hi, I'm Stacy with Dollarville, your local digital print shop. We're fast and cost effective. I have two asks. One, WXW in December is having our mayor mingling, so if you've never gone to WXW, it's the Women's Exchange. It's a great month to go because it's a networking one, so we get to meet everybody and celebrate the holiday, and also check that out, WXW. And also I'm on the Power of the Purse Committee, which is in March, and we get new purses donated, and then we auction them off to raise money for women in Washington County. So I'm looking for new purse donations. So check your closet. If you have a purse in there that still has the tags on and you never used, you can donate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Samantha West. I'm the Director of Communications for the Alzheimer's Association. We have a couple things coming up. We have a research night on Thursday, November 20th. It's a free event where you get to hear from one of the top researchers who will talk about the latest studies in Alzheimer's. And again, it's free to the community. It's from 5:30 to 8 at Washtenaw Community College. If you want to go, you can either see me or visit our website, which is alz.org. We're also hiring a Director of Special Events and a walk manager. So if you're interested in either of those positions, you can talk to me or visit our website. Thanks.
Hi, Lori Byron, CEO of Famous in Your Field, where we make professionals known as the leaders and experts in their industry. Also, proud hockey mom and co-president of WXW. So I want to second what Stacy said. Come check out WXWbusiness.com. It's the Women's Exchange of Washtenaw. We do welcome the brave men who are willing to come along. And please join us for Merry Mingling the first Thursday in December. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Tasha Moore, and I'm with Martopia, which is a strategic marketing and public relations firm. And we're interested in working with technology companies as well as any company that has a solution that helps make the world a better place.
My name is Kelly Bombach, and I have a company called Sparkle Theory. We do graphic design and branding. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, nonprofits, and businesses of all sizes that are kind of looking to expand into a new market or develop new products and stuff.
Hi guys, I'm Brittany. I'm with the Creative Group. What we do is we help find creatives positions and match our clients with fellow creatives. So always looking for new clients and always looking for new candidates. Also, I'm a fellow creator as well, so I'm excited to talk to you. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
My name is Don, and I'm also with the Creative Group. Brittany kind of wrapped it up, so that's what we do. We would love to talk to anybody.
Susan Harris, I'm just an onlooker.
Just an onlooker. And yeah, I'm a content creator. I'm Roger Rayle. I create a lot of video content and some data mashups. The video of the Ignite Ann Arbor number 9, which Jim presented, that will be up in a week or two. And there's 15 talks, 5 minutes each. So if you didn't get a chance to, how many went to Ignite Ann Arbor here? Okay, well, we need to get more of you there. But there were 400 people there. It was really good. And so that content will be up soon.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grizel, and I'm with Loop Communications. We do brand development, strategic marketing, and creative production, and I work specifically with social media and content creation.
Hi, I'm Rayle with LA2M. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today. I really appreciate the wonderful turnout, and hope you'll all come back next week. I know we'll have another great speaker then. And also thanks to Ryan for that really complete talk. Very, very informative, a lot of really good information, and really valuable to marketers and creators both. And we are also in the process of building our 2015 speaker season. If you'd like to recommend someone for a speaker as at LA2M, I'd be more than happy to talk with you about that. And also, I write content for websites, newsletters, blogs, etc. And mostly in the nonprofit, arts, and marketing sector. So if you're interested in that as well, I'd love to talk with you.
Hi, I'm Carter Schram from Print Studios, and I'm a commercial editorial and portrait photographer. And the images I shoot of these meetings on the Facebook page. I just did the last 2 weeks meetings this morning, so hopefully these ones will go up a little sooner.
Thank you. And my name is Jim Uziel, and I have a digital company called 5522 Tech, and we work with small companies to help them with their web and mobile development. So if you have a website that's not quite mobile optimized, I'd love to talk to you about it. Can you join me one more time in thanking Ryan for the information that he shared today? Couple announcements. First of all, LA2M, we're very happy, like Mary Lou said, that you came today. If you're a first timer today and you enjoyed it, or even if you come every week, on the table there are little cards there. They're business size cards. If you enjoyed it, stick one in your pocket or whatever, share it with a coworker or a friend, invite them. We love to have our full house here. Our speakers love when we have a full house because it's really engaging and we get a lot out of it. So we hope you come back again. We hope you bring a friend and share about LA2M with us. Say it again? Yep. Also, we want to thank a number of people who make LA2M possible. We would not be able to run this organization without the help of our sponsors. And we're very fortunate. We have a platinum sponsor that just came on this month, and that is Briarwood Malls. So we're very happy that, and I know we'll be hearing a lot about that as the holiday approaches. So they're an annual sponsor for us. We are also sponsored by Washtenaw Community College. There's some pamphlets back there on the back table where Jordan's sitting back there. If you are interested in some continuing education or some starting maybe a new career, check out Washtenaw Community College. They're one of our gold sponsors. We also have a monthly sponsor. He's not here today, but it's 3.7 Designs, Ross Johnson. Ross is one of the founders of LA2M and is a frequent sponsor here. So they do a lot of web content. They specialize in doing websites for you. If you're interested, look up 3.7 Designs. I know they'll be here next week, so you can hear a little bit more about it. And then finally, to talk about next week, we're going to have another exciting speaker next week. If you've ever wanted to learn how to make buses sexy, you'll be interested to come here and see Don Klein from the Ann Arbor Transit Authority. He comes and he'll be talking about how they market their bus service. So it'll be a good presentation. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Ryan, again, for being here. And you'll stick around and talk if you want to come up and talk to him. Otherwise, have a great day and go out and get some business. Thanks.
Great presentation. I'm glad you enjoyed it.